welcome to episode 6.
Ah,
So
yeah, yeah.
made it
We
this
done got
far.
the Instagram popping. We done got to 6 videos, so it's exciting. Today we're going to talk about the 22 immutable laws of marketing, and the song that we're going to juxtapose this video to is going to be the outro to TMC. Um, and just I was listening to that coming in to work to the co-working space today, and I remember when Nip said, "I can sense the indictment." No, I can feel the excitement, like I can sense the indictment. I swear that almost I don't know. I can't freestyle.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? I can't. You know what I mean? But it's love that song though, love the beat. And we gonna rock with that as the song of the day. And I hope y'all are locked in with the Apple Music shared playlist. So
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts
uh,
on that playlist and song
and as
suggestions.
always, like, share, subscribe.
Always follow our Instagram. Show us some love.
Yeah,
And on our
yeah,
personal pages too. So
yeah. Shit, don't follow me on my personal page because I don't post on everything. You know what I'm saying? But
you can follow me on mine.
yeah. Follow Sid, man. I be out the way, man. Like I don't even, man. Look, that's a good way to open up before we even start talking
What?
to the book, right? So what's your favorite social media of choice right now?
TikTok.
TikTok.
I
Word.
love TikTok. I'll be sitting there just hee laughing all all the time. Second would be Instagram.
TikTok and Instagram. Word. So like, boom, perfect. Illustration of like how I think this show is great because it comes from a couple of different perspectives. It's definitely one of those things where a guy like me never had a TikTok in my life. I don't want one, right? But I know the value of it, and I just got off a call today with a young man, and I'm gonna hire him as my first intern. And
Hey, first
yeah,
hire. Let's
yeah,
go.
yeah. I'm excited, man. And he's an ODU guy, so I got to lock in with the school to make sure that he can get proper credit for being my intern. But what we're gonna do is over a year's time frame, what's gonna happen is we're gonna leverage it as he's gonna be my social media intern, but I'm gonna teach him how to be a prompt engineer. And we're just going to see how that works. And he's going to manage my TikTok because I don't have a TikTok. So,
That's
look,
awesome.
yeah. Looking forward to it.
Congrats. First
Yeah, thanks.
hire. We're making milestones.
Oh yeah. And on the cool, shout out to Cannon because he locked in with me too. So like, I guess he's a founder of this with me. He's my first ever proof of concept. So he would be considered a hire because he was family. But yeah, now like Devin, shout out to Devin. I can't wait to show this video to you, bro. Because like I'm shouting you out. He said one of the things that he was interested in is getting his name out there. So I was like, oh, I got you, bro. So but to that end though, like my favorite social media is gonna be LinkedIn. If y'all want to follow me on LinkedIn, you can go to Sustainable Growth Creative. That's where I live. Holler at me over there.
LinkedIn, all
And
professional.
yeah. And then probably Twitter because I got these lists set up to where I can follow specific like people. So like I got one for football. Oh yeah, I got one for horse racing. And shout out to the
Horse
Masters.
racing.
Yeah. A couple things. Yeah. So like with the horse racing, like my family's from Louisville, Kentucky. Shout out to the 502, everybody on the West. Shiny, what's happening? Market Street got the best Indies chicken in the city. Comment below if you think I'm capping. But yeah, so my family's from out there, right? And
Okay.
pandemic, me and the wife went to the Kentucky Derby and got a steal, bro. So like that first year post the pandemic, like the Derby,
Yeah.
we got to go to the Oaks and the Derby for a great number. All you can drink
Oh, I bet they
mint
were trying to get people
juleps.
back in. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. So like, yeah, big horse racing guy. Been betting on the ponies forever. If y'all want to follow some other content, I call myself the frugal degenerate. And an example of that is I bet on the Masters this week. I put $30 down and I turned that into 1,200. And it's one of those things where like I bet a little to win a lot, but I bet a lot. So if I lose like 20 of them, all I gotta do is hit one and it'll pay off like the next 50.
Yeah.
So Twitter and LinkedIn, man, that's my
Twitter.
social
That's my
media of
husband's
choice.
too. He likes Twitter or X. I'm gonna be appropriate.
Oh
X.
yeah.
Whatever.
Good call. Good call.
Social media
Yeah.
manager, X.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he likes X too. I'm like, why? He's like, man, it's just good. But it's for sports too, because he bets. So
Yeah,
he'll be following. See, you see this on Twitter? I'm like, no, I did not. Oh, you see
yeah,
this on
yeah.
TikTok? He's like, I'm not getting TikTok. Why?
Nah,
Why?
like yeah, I'm gonna let Devin handle my TikTok. I got this young lady that I'm working with as well. That I'm gonna try to build a team of young people to manage my TikTok. And if I can pay them and give them internships, like that's love. Because I don't want no
Yeah.
TikTok. I don't even use Instagram no more, man. Like you saw that.
Well, I
Uh,
know. Your Instagram. In the picture too. If y'all
yeah,
don't know what we're talking about, go watch
yeah,
the last episode.
yeah.
You can see Vic in
I'm gonna
person.
share. Ooh, you know what? I'm gonna share at the end of this call. I sent it to my little homegirl. Shout out to Danielle. She's a monster. She does a podcast called I think it's Mimosas and Breakfast or something. We
Ooh,
put a pin in that. Like we got to support her.
mimosas. Yes.
It's like Mimosas or something. But like I showed her that video and like she knew me when we was younger in college, and she was like, "Yo, Vic, you look scary. Like, who are you?"
You looked. You did. You did not look like a high schooler.
Yeah. And it's like people be telling me I look like I'm in my 20s now, and I'm like, yeah, it's got to be the hair, you know.
It's the
It-
locks.
yeah, it's pandemic, straight up, Um, but let's talk about this book, right? So the
Yeah.
whole concept of it is like offers like concise, expert. It's like a concise, expert backed guide to mastering the art of marketing with strategic principles, applications, and like discusses it from like a couple of different vantage points. So of course it's 22, kind of like the 48 laws of power. We'll pick a couple and we'll go over them, but definitely if you're in business, like marketing is like key to success, right? You got a market manipulator who manages social media on the call today, and that's Sid. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how she speaks to this book. But shout out to Nip, man, because like he was ahead of the game with it when he talked about these different books. Like these books that we're going over, it's like a well-rounded way to be an entrepreneur. So, what are your I guess first initial thoughts on the book?
Yeah. So, as a marketer, I think all the laws listed are super spot on, and I personally did not realize half this stuff until I got to like the point of where I'm at now. You know what I mean? Like school only teaches you so much, like to prepare for the world in terms of marketing. So looking at these points, it's like okay, like for example, my one of the laws I really liked was the law of perception. All you're trying to do is kind of sway people's opinions to go for your product or go for your service. You know what I mean? It's all about perception and hitting like that target market. So if I'm talking about water bottles, yeah, Stanley, this is a great example. Stanley's be having females in an uproar. Probably specifically between the ages of like, shoot, I wouldn't even say my daughter's 12, and she be talking about Stanley's. So like middle school up until like mid 30s, this cup this cup this company has figured out its target market and has swayed people to think this is the ultimate cup out of all cups. Like the perception is, I have to have a Stanley. If I have a Stanley, then I'll stay hydrated. They don't want to drink regular water bottles because it's not as cool as drinking a Stanley. You know what I mean? Like that perception, like I have to drink this. If I have this, I'm going to be hydrated, I'm going to be healthy, and that's not necessarily true. But their marketing, they do a good job of that, of just targeting that demographic and just kind of that perception. That's a lot of, I would say, a lot of B2C companies, business to consumer, if you're not familiar. With B2B, it's very different. I feel like it's more relationship versus perception. Because I feel like, for example, my marketing agency working with Vic, he's, an AI expert. Vic could say a whole bunch of stuff, but if I don't like Vic, like I'm just not gonna I'm not gonna work with him. You know what I mean? I feel like it's more relationship prior to like perception, just really trying to sell and push it. So yeah, I mean that's my viewpoint on that first law for me. What about you?
10-4. So like what we'll do is like we'll go back and forth with some laws. Like I got a couple that I highlighted, but just to kind of add further context to the reason why this book is a good read for entrepreneurs. It it really does warn against marketing myths and misconceptions, right? So like it's going to help people when they're reading it get ahead of failure, you know. So definitely take heed to some of these things, you know. Additional importance on how to focus on specialization and like branding. That's important. Like marketing and branding go hand in hand. So, you know, I think those are some of the things that the book highlights. And then just like the perception around, you know, product quality in marketing. Awesome concepts and contexts, right? From a macro level, like challenges of, you know, sustaining like market leadership and adapting to change are going to really go hand in hand to a couple laws, and like just like some of the more like I think well researched laws that are really discussed are like the law of leadership, which emphasizes, you know, the advantage of being first in the market, or the law of category, which suggests creating a new category if you can't be the first in the existing one, right? So like these things that I think sometimes are taken for granted are really, you know, discussed and drilled into within like 22 different laws. And of course, you know, we won't necessarily go over each one, but as you anticipate, you know, going to your Amazon, going to your library, we're big proponents of the library. If you can get this book, like that's what you can expect. I think you just did the law of perception, right?
Yeah, that's the one I just did. Also for the libraries, we're gonna try to put, I don't know, like a resource link or something where you can find these books at your look, maybe like a library finder or something. Still, it's still in concept, but just be on the lookout for that.
100%. So like I know somewhere in the world that YB's hair just spiked on the back of the head because you said try. So, you
I
know,
know. I'll nix that
YB,
out.
we got to edit that out. Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't hear that. I didn't say that. We will be
Boom,
putting
boom,
something.
boom, boom. So like, so let's talk about like a law that like resonated with me, right? The law of the mind. This is like a law that really correlates with perception matters, and it highlights the importance of being the first brand in mind to consumers. So we could talk about my business. So I democratize the AI space, right? So when people think of artificial intelligence, I want them to think that there's a guy in Richmond, Virginia, who is trying to go into areas that are considered economically depressed environments, similar to like maybe Mosby Court or Wickham or Hillside, and like leverage his skill set and upskill that community. Now, I think that's a really different approach to AI that I haven't seen a lot of people do. And if I am, you know, the first in mind, then, you know, perception matters. And, you know, I think the brand that I'm trying to, you know, create is going to center around that, right? And hopefully when people, you know, think of AI, it's demystified. And if I can help people in that community to demystify the concept, then, you know, it's really downhill from there, because I feel like what I'm seeing, it's a lot of people. You know, I keep CSNBC open like on this side of my screen all the time. Like they're talking about AI all the time, whether it's Larry Fink at BlackRock, or it's Elon Musk, or Branson, or any of these like moles in the tech space. Like they're really heavy into it, right? But then the people who aren't really leveraging those kinds of resources, like they kind of get left to the wayside, and I don't want that. Like my biggest thing is I don't want anybody to get redlined out of this revolution, because it's coming, right? So when we look at this book, how I can implement it and leverage it from a strategic standpoint is just continue down the path I'm going, and just try to make the perception a reality. That's my thoughts on that concept.
Yeah, and I think now, especially with these brands and just companies, I think when you're fully transparent and authentic, you'll become that over time. It's easier for people to kind of receive what you're doing, and then you'll become top of mind. It's easy. Those large companies, like Nike, Starbucks, Target, like I mean, they're massive, but there are some small brands that I know, companies I know, just for what they're doing. I mean, like what Vic just said. I mean, that's amazing. So when you have companies that it's bigger than them, and they're sharing that it's bigger than them, people will want to. They'll be top of mind. Like, oh, I need to support this brand. So love that.
So
Um,
for
which one's mine? My next one is the law of unpredictability. Um, and in terms of just unpredictability, Future planning. The thing with marketing is things shift a lot. They shift a whole lot, and it's the market can be unpredictable. You know, your competitors could be doing something one day, and then switch up and do something a different day. And something that just came to mind. Do y'all remember when IHOP was the International House of Burgers?
Yeah, I do
Remember they
remember
did
that.
that? They so
Yeah.
everyone's confused. Like, what are they? This is real. What are they doing? And I can't remember the duration of what they did it for. But then they were like, "JK, it was just like it was just a marketing tactic, you know what I mean? They wanted to be unpredictable, like no one's ever going to guess this." And I'm like, why are they pressing burgers during the end of the year? Like, how in this quarter, how can we stand out and be a little bit unpredictable to where our competitors are like kind of confused? And if you guys are targeting the same people, those people might be like, oh, let me go check out and see what let me go see what they're doing, let me see what they're about.
I think that that stunt when IHOP did that, it really goes to like where we're at now in society. Like you could do something to get people talking, and if you trigger them and like you get
Yeah,
like the conversation going, like
yeah.
publicity, not publicity. No, was it no news is bad news or no? I
No,
can't think of the
PR is bad. What is it?
yeah something along those
Something
lines. Like
something like that. Yeah.
that makes sense, so I kind of get it. I mean, so shout out to the House of Burgers, because they definitely trigger people for a little bit, man. You know. Um, so law 9, the law of the opposite. Leveraging the leader is what this law speaks to. So it suggests that the second place company should position itself against the market leader. So, like, easy examples of this are going to always be like Pepsi versus Coke, where when Pepsi came through, their whole concept was to, market to the youth, like with Pepsi Generation and like Pepsi Challenge. And like, I think what was their, Travis. What's Travis Scott's the mother of his child?
Kylie?
One of the Kardashians. Yeah, yeah,
Kylie.
yeah, yeah. The young one, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out
yeah,
to her.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, yo, if you can get Kylie Jenner, that's her name, to
Yeah.
retweet this, that'll be great. So we can go viral and we can
Hey,
get
let's
this
go.
out to the world. Shout out to Kylie and Travi, man. You know what I'm saying? I love Travi. He from the H Town, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Texas. But that's an example. Burger King is another example, like Burger King versus McDonald's. A lot of times, have it your way, like that whole famous slogan
Yeah.
was in
Or
contrast.
the burger thing. Remember
Well,
they're like our burgers mold. That's how you know it's real. Anybody remembers that commercial?
huh?
You remember that
It's
commercial?
I don't, but that makes sense.
Yeah, they had a
That
whole
that
thing. It said by this day, because someone posted on TikTok, I think it was TikTok, how their McDonald's they had it for years, did not mold, like it was still intact. So Burger King
well,
randomly
yeah,
got a whiff of that, and we're like, we're gonna show that our stuff is real. Had a whole commercial about the burger molding. I thought that was so creative.
100%, 100%. I
Yeah,
think that like you speak to that specific instance, and like I think about it from a different lens. Like, yeah, I know for a fact that the additives and the preservatives or whatever in those foods, like 100%, I can see a McDonald's burger lasting as long as like a freaking cockroach. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
100%. If somebody took that and put it on TikTok, that's going to the moon. 1,000%.
Yeah,
And that's a good way to market a brand. Like, perfect example. Like another example is like Avis versus Hertz. Like when you think of like
yeah,
Avis, positioning itself as like the second when it comes to like leaders, their slogan at one point is "We try harder," and that's based all around being a number two. And when it comes to that, like if you look at things now, I mean, I personally an enterprise guy, but I mean, that's a good example of that, right? So when you thinking of entering a market. If you got to enter the market, look at the competition and, strategizing around that. This book will give you some good insight around.
yes, yes. Let me go to my next one. The law of success. So ego hazards. So ego can get in the way of successful marketing. Bring your head size down, guys. Don't think that you're too good to do something. Don't think you're too good to try something. Because, like I said previously, our marketing changes literally like every day. Something might work last week and it's not going to work. this week, but you can't harp on, well, I did it this way, so it should work. It should work. Like, you're not willing to receive and try new things because that ego, it will hurt you. And I've worked at jobs where people didn't want to try new things. And it's like, well, I did it this way. Like, I'm just going to say it this way. I'm going to say this way. And then when you have their higher ups come and it's like, well, how come we're not doing this? And they're like, well, I don't know, this worked last time. It's like, you have to be able to receive feedback. You want to receive feedback as a business owner because you're gonna mess up. Like, you will fail sometimes. Like, you have to be able to receive it and be like, okay, what do I need to change? Like, yes, this worked and that was a great moment, but like, how can I move forward and grow? Kind of like how people go viral on TikTok. You know what I mean? Some people will go viral, like the woman. I think we talked about this one episode. The woman who said, "Who the f did I marry?" Have you seen that? Of course, yeah, of course. I don't know if
I
you have TikTok, but like, I feel like you should know, who the f did I marry? It was like a 50-part series where people sat down and were watching it like it was Netflix of who she married. I feel like we talked about this in one episode. Y'all
Mhm.
should go back and watch all of them and like and subscribe, and then like let me know which one it was in. But yeah, but I mean, she blew up. Okay, so you have all these followers now. Are you trying to ride the wave and do another series of like something like that? Or are you trying to change up or try to build a brand, or you know what I mean? Just because you're successful in one area, that one moment in time, that doesn't mean it's going to carry throughout the rest of your time in marketing your business or whatever you're doing. So definitely to be successful, you got to be receptive. Don't let your ego get in the way because pride comes before the fall.
Oh yeah, I think a big example of this. I'm a big football guy. Do not be a diva. You
Yeah.
know, wide receivers, Des Bryant's of the world,
Wide receiver.
Marvin. Yeah, no, for real. Like wide receivers are divas. Like DK Metcalf, I love those guys, man. Marvin Harrison. So I know you probably don't know this, but your husband probably is hip. Marvin Harrison Jr. is about to enter the draft,
Hmm.
and they were interviewing his father, Marvin Harrison, who is an MVP, super stud wideout
Wow.
from the Indianapolis Colts. You know who Peyton Manning is, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so Peyton Manning got a ring behind this guy, and they're both in the Hall of Fame.
Oh
And his
wow.
son is going into the league, and they were like, "So what are some of the things that you wish your son would have?" And Marvin Harrison Senior was like, "I just wish that my son would ask for the ball more and just be more like me." And the commentator was like, "So you want him to be more of a diva?" And he was like, "Exactly." So I was like, um, I think that that's one of those things where know the room, but like shout out to Junior though, man. I'm looking forward to seeing how the kid is going
Oh,
to take over the league, man.
what position does he play?
Wide receiver.
Was he the person that got the super fast time or no?
Oh well, we can talk about that. Shout out to Hook'em Horns all day. Hook'em Horns. That's Xavier Worthy and
Okay.
4.2.
No,
I think
I
it's 4.2.
watched it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and then they went back and looked at it and got it was even shorter. Like the time, I was like, yo,
Hmm.
because I'm like,
Hmm.
why is he participating in the rest of this stuff? I was just like, Sid, he's done. He got the
Yeah.
fastest time. Like he don't got to do nothing else.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, and because I'm such a football geek, like he broke John Ross's record, and when John Ross broke that record, I can't remember the class he came through with, but I mean, I don't know if he was with Henry Ruggs, but he was another speedster. But either way it go though, like that instantly propelled John Ross early in the draft. And there's a ton of guys who've been like quick. Chris Johnson was a running back who was just absolutely amazing in the league. So yeah, Xavier Worthy running at I want to say it's a 4.21, either a 4.21 or 4.23. If you're a football guy like me, I never was able to run underneath for 5. I mean, over, I was never getting to the 4. So, like, that's fast,
Yeah,
fast, fast, fast.
so
Shout out
my
to him.
toxic trait is thinking I could do that. I'm like, you can run that hard. And he's like,
Oh, yeah, because aren't you a legendary athlete when it comes to
I play
track?
soccer. Soccer is life. Am I fast? Yes, still fast. My daughter thinks she can be. She can't. Like I still got
Oh,
it.
man.
But my toxic trait is thinking I could do that. I'm like, I could do that. I was just like, Sid, do you really think? Because there was a bigger dude. He was huge. He was like 300 pounds, and he was moving. I was like, dang. Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
why? Like when I see those big guys move, that's imagine getting hit by that. I
Man,
can't.
look,
I'm
we about to
flying.
go off the rails. So look, I'm gonna give you a guy and comment below if you think if you could speak to this. Right? You ever heard of Javon Curse?
No.
Look him up. The guy was probably like 6'6", 270, and I swear he ran every bit of like a 4.4. He was a DE, and I mean just absolute train coming across the field, bro. Like I just, if you look up Javon Curse and look up some of his greatest hits, I know like there's some kids that still got PTSD because like the guy was just a massive human. He shouldn't have ran that fast. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. Brian Thomas is an LSU kid.
Hmm.
Shout out to Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, man. You know, LSU produces nothing but studs, and we're
Yeah.
definitely getting on the football, so we might have to pivot in a second. But
I know.
the draft is coming up soon,
I
and
know. I'm over it. He was
I'm
like,
a
"Guess
big
what?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "X amount of days until football." I was like,
yeah,
"I'm not
yeah.
excited."
Yeah. Big football guy, man. Like, share, subscribe if y'all want to hear more football talk from me because I can go all day. You know, but we're gonna only do three because you know we'll talk y'all ears off. But my last one is gonna be the law of failure and like accepting failure. And it's to be accepted and accepted, expected and accepted. Like we before we got on this call, this is one of the first calls that we've had to where we like, you know, as entrepreneurs, I mean, like real life stuff happens. And, you know, we had some stuff off the camera we ain't gonna bring on the camera, but like we both were talking about accepting failures and some upcoming ventures. And I
Mhm.
think this book will apply and allow you to, you know, have some context, right? But like, you know, I think the biggest thing is like, you know, when it's over and you took that L, you know, every L is just a learning opportunity to me. You know, I hate to lose, I'm very competitive, but failure does allow for you to come back. Like, I'll tell you, like, true story about me. When I graduated from college, I partied way too much. So, you know, when I walked across the stage, like my major core classes, like my GPA had just fallen below what was necessary. So, like, I didn't graduate and walked across the stage, and I'm on the computer looking, and it's like, oh no, we're not gonna give you a diploma until you have to take X class again. And I was like, what? I had already accepted my first job out of college. I had already moved and like got my apartment set up and like it was devastating. So like I could have took that failure and just been like, well, whatever. But what I did was I really buckled down and that following semester I took like an operations class and I failed. Yeah. So like I'm like a year, I'm like a half year out of college working this job, trying to go get this class, and I failed to get the degree. And I'm like, dang man, what to do? But I just didn't give up. So I went back and I took the class again. And, you know, I ended up, you know, the second time around, you know, I got it and they mailed me my degree. So like true story, like, you know, technically I walked 2010, but my home was going to say 2011. And, you know, always going to be honest and empathetic and vulnerable with the community that we're talking. Like, you know, like
Mhm.
just understand that failure is gonna come, but when it comes, like what you gonna do? Because see, I could have just been like, you know, oh well, I walked across the stage, I got my first job, I don't need to do it anymore. But you know, I didn't, and I really buckled down. And that second time, I got it, and it was hard, but I love being able to like have these experiences because yeah, even though we were talking about what we were talking about before the call, it was great that I can translate it to like this last law about failure, right? Like failure can be a blessing in disguise, and the resiliency that you have when you overcome failure, it's going to make you appreciate it more. So like traditionally when I'm in my office at the house, like you'll see like the ODU banner up because it means a lot to me that I graduated because you know, I really earned it. And you know, I ain't even from out here, man. Shout out to Texas. I'm always represent Colleen, you know, but coming all the way from across the world and you know coming to college at ODU was just a magic experience. And I think I would have done myself a disservice if I wouldn't have got that degree. So you know, as we wrap up the you know the call,
Yeah.
the show today, you know that's the whole concept of the book. You know, and you want to give any closing action items before we
Oh,
kind
to
of
your
like,
point, what Vic said, I mean, that's like resilience. Like you have to have that in your entrepreneurship journey. Like it's a must because stuff like that, like you are gonna fail. And thank you, Vic, for being vulnerable and sharing that. Because I feel like people think that it's easy as you go. Like for me, like my husband and I, we had our daughter in high school, So I'm like, yo, I'm trying to play soccer in college. Like, I'm trying to get scholarship money. And that year I was pregnant, that was my recruiting year. But best believe, I was like, I'm graduating. I'm still gonna get some money to go to school, and I did. But it's a lot of perseverance, and you can't dwell on. Like, imagine if he was just like, "Oh, woe is me." Like, I didn't. You
Mm-hmm.
can't sit there and just. You got to get back up and keep it going. So, I definitely applaud you for that resilience. And a lot of these books are they definitely are a testament to that. The past two episodes that we did, especially with the Black Panther, it resilience. You have to be resilient. You can't give up. You know what I mean? Even when things are really rough, you have to find it within you, or maybe have a community of people around you for sure that can just push you to keep going. So yeah.
100%. And in closing, just to shout out the authors. This is going to be another opportunity for me to mess up names, but maybe we'll start having you say these names eventually. But we're gonna go Al Ries, Ries, and Jack Trout. God bless you and thank you for coming up with this book. And just again to talk about the whole concept of the book, understanding and applying the 22 immutable laws of marketing can provide a robust framework for developing effective market strategies. Clearly, we just kind of went over them, and there's 22 of them, and see which ones apply to you. But just remember that marketers must remain adaptable and responsive to their market, right? Because there's going to always be ever evolving market conditions, and to fully leverage these principles, you can't be rigid for and yeah, you can't be rigid. You gotta be fluid. Be like Bruce Lee said, water to be successful. And while the laws are described as immutable, um, the dynamic nature of the markets means that these principles must be adapted and interpreted while you're looking at it through a contemporary lens. Don't look at it too black and white. And that's the book review. And again, outro um, for TMC is the song that you should listen to um, while you look at this book, man. And what
Yeah.
you got for us. I think I chose this one, so you could pick the next one. But you got anything else in closing before we
Oh,
identify the next book?
like and subscribe. Go follow our Instagram, please, please, please.
Yes, check out Sustainable Growth Creative on LinkedIn.
Yes.
I'm a lock in my intern with Sid, so
Yeah, we
Sid
have
can
an
teach him.
intern now.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we looking good on time. We at 33 minutes, man. And once we
Yeah.
cut this down, we might get to 30. So, like, what's the book we're gonna look at for
I'm
the next
looking
time?
at the this doc is so long. What's the list at? Oh,
So
here
we
it is.
got. Go
I think
ahead.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
So we got. I mean, that actually sounds dope. The Richest Man in Babylon, Powernomics, How to Eat and Live, The
We're gonna be
Honorable
talking a lot
Elijah
about
Muhammad,
finances. Maybe we should do the richest man in.
The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah.
I support it. So
And
that will be the next book. And in closing, we appreciate anybody who's shared any feedback in the comments. Share this with the folks. And the big thing with this is long live Nip. We're gonna keep his name alive. He was more than a musician. He was a visionary that really gave us the framework to this whole podcast. And everything we're gonna do post this podcast is gonna be dope. Looking real forward and talking about. Personal finances. That's a little
yeah.
little Easter egg for some more stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome.